make it easy, make it fast, make it cheap for them. And then they can subscribe, and that's where we can upsell and cross-sell some of our other products that may not be on Amazon.
Hello, we have Vladimir, who is the co-founder and CEO of Better&Better and a dear friend, e-commerce nerd like us. So how and why did you start the Better&Better brand? And could you tell us a little bit about the story behind it?
So Better&Better is my third company. I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years now. I worked for big corporations for a few years, realized that wasn't for me. I started my first company when I was 25 called Rocket Hub Online Marketplace, helping people raise money for different projects, ideas, products, etc. Then I started my second company called Mural. Mural was my first real experience with e-commerce. We were selling a big, beautiful digital picture frame for art and photography. So I had two successful startups, and I wanted to do something a little bit more near and dear to my heart. I wanted to build a company within health and wellness that I could use, that could help me be healthy without having to think about it. And so the idea for Better&Better is pretty simple. It's do what we already do, like brushing your teeth, and make it better. Remove bad things, so no chemicals, preservatives, colors, anything that you don't want. And then on top of that, add good things like vitamins, minerals, supplements. And so fundamentally, Better&Better is using existing habits to make our lives better. Our first type of product is a natural organic toothpaste that has vitamins and minerals in it. So you get to clean your teeth, fresh mouth, all the good stuff, plus you get a dose of vitamin D, zinc, vitamin E, etc. And we've been in the market for a few years, and it's been very successful.
Amazing. This also answers one of my questions that I really wanted to understand is like, what was the first product?
Yeah.
But could you explain like what was the process of actually testing that out? Because it's not an easy, like you're not reselling, you're basically creating a whole new product, right?
That's right. It took us two and a half years to R&D and create the actual toothpaste. You need to create a very unique combination of ingredients that support both good oral health and then allow for the absorption and for the clean kind of delivery of vitamins and minerals and these supplements that are within the toothpaste as well. We went through hundreds, if not thousands, of different formulas. We have a chemist, we have a formulator, and we have a manufacturer. And then finally, we had to adjust the manufacturing process because it's a little bit different than traditional toothpaste or traditional cosmetic products. Now, we're on to V3, so it never ends. We're consistently improving and iterating upon our formulations and making them better because it's really an infinite game. We're consistently innovating and improving the products themselves.
Right. I mean, 3 years is a very long time. And obviously you didn't have off-the-shelf components you could use. You had to like reimagine the whole process. You know, there are probably like many times that you thought, I'm just guessing, like, is it worth it? Is this gonna succeed? So how do you decide on a product that complex? What does it take to actually make the product work? And how do you know that you like surpass that threshold of success?
I think there was some preliminary research and science that we had to kind of make sure was correct. And so we took a deep dive into existing clinical studies, medical literature, and we found about 26 clinical studies that support our thesis that you can absorb vitamins and minerals within 2 minutes through your mouth. And you can do it not by swallowing, but by regular brushing of the teeth. And so initially there was this scientific kind of baseline. The initial formulas tasted awful. They were terrible. Then we went and had to make it actually be good and make it taste good, feel good. We were doing a little bit of market testing along the way. So initially preliminary customer interviews, then kind of small focus groups, seeing what it takes to sell the product, seeing what messaging works, what messaging doesn't work, and the different channels that might work that don't work. So it was kind of a parallel path where one path is more of product development, R&D, and the other path is customer development, marketing, sales, and positioning. And then finally, there's always a leap of faith. There's always there's always a gap between what you can prove and what you can test and see in the market. And that's the risky part, right? That's where the experimentation comes in and the fun part of getting to that kind of right product market fit.
And thankfully, that leap of faith turned out to be wonderful. So right now, you're selling both on marketplaces and selling D2C. Could you explain the why of your strategy?
Yeah, so we have two channels. One is Amazon, which is the biggest global marketplace in the world, and the other is our website, betterandbetter.com. And we, for now, sell in the United States and Canada, but in the future we'll expand global as well. The real high-level strategy is that we have to go to where the customers are. And when it comes to both oral care and supplements, which is kind of what we are, we're a combination of those two things, natural, clean oral care plus supplements. More people search for those two categories on Amazon than they do on Google in the United States. Google, ChatGPT, and anywhere else. So because of that reality, we realized that we need to get in front of customers where they are, and we need to build a funnel that is really Amazon focused, but then our website and our Shopify platform supports it in a kind of more comprehensive customer supporting way. And so that is really the reason why we have those two channels. Amazon is this kind of big, broad top to middle funnel, and then our website is more middle to bottom funnel, where people subscribe and they become long-term customers of ours once they know us and they trust us and they love our products and they want to be part of our kind of bigger and broader community.
All right. So to a point, you borrowed the trust that Amazon gives them in the first purchasing decision, and then you transferred that.
It's an overall level of comfort and ease that is often much more difficult to bridge if you're purely a D2C website with a brand new company or new brand or a new set of products. And so I think the idea where people can add our product to their cart when they're shopping for toilet paper and books and all the other things on Amazon, they can see the reviews. It just makes that initial decision significantly easier. And we've done the math and we've found that that's the right kind of path for us.
Beautiful. To a point, you already started upon this question, but it's like, I'm really wondering, like, what is your biggest growth channel, if that's not a secret? Tests, like growth tests, which you did, turn out to be the biggest fails, and you thought they might not be.
We treat Amazon as both a marketing channel and as a sales channel. So Amazon for us often is a place where we can test new keywords and we can test new concepts of like, oh, does this fit in within this niche or within this search category or within this keyword? And it's a little bit further down the funnel because people are actually looking to shop and looking to buy.
Right.
And it's cheaper in terms of CPA and CPC and overall customer reach than Google. So Amazon is really our growth channel on a consistent basis because of the scale of the search terms associated with this category and these types of products. And so our kind of high level strategy is get someone to buy one of our products on Amazon, get them to love that product, have it to be the best freaking experience in the world, and then every one of our products has a little QR code that says subscribe and save. And, that takes them back to our website, or there's a link to our website. And so there's this funnel where, we invest in a high level customer acquisition on Amazon, make it easy, make it fast, make it cheap for them. And then once they're on our website, they can subscribe, and that's where we can upsell and cross-sell some of our other products that may not be on Amazon. In terms of failures, the biggest kind of challenge, I wouldn't call it necessarily a failure, but a challenge that we've had is in terms of market readiness for our products. So the idea that you can get vitamins and minerals without having to swallow anything is like mind-blowing for a lot of people. There's just too much questions and confusions and a lack of market readiness. So what we found is that we need to lead with what people are already searching for, which is natural, organic, clean. We have the cleanest toothpaste, I believe, in the world in terms of organic ingredients, no chemicals, no preservatives, no color, none of the stuff that you don't want. We really focus on that, and then we show them that not only is this the cleanest and most kind of pure formulation out there in the market, but it also has these vitamins, minerals, and supplements. So we kind of had to invert our initial marketing outreach and strategy a little bit to what people are already kind of looking for and searching for, and then present our differentiator that kind of turbocharged our growth and established what we needed to do and what we needed to be in terms of customer acquisition cost and the overall funnel.
And so basically, do not waste your time trying to educate people on the USPs that you have, but they're not really ready for that, but they will learn it on the way.
You have to listen to what the market is telling you. For instance, Athletic Greens, one of the greatest success stories of the last decade plus. The funny part is that when they started selling their products, they were selling vitamin D pills, and they were throwing in the athletic greens either for free or for a smaller cost. So they were leading with vitamin D, and the actual powder was just being thrown in because no one knew they needed a powder or they wanted a green powder. Now it's the opposite. Now they sell the green powder. That's the magic. That's the differentiator. And the vitamin D pills are just thrown in for free. They had to educate the market, and they had to start with the products that people were looking for. And then over time, they reached this point where now the market is aware of the benefits and the unique selling proposition of their product.
So $100 million later.
Yeah, it's been a long journey for them, and they're an incredible company, and I view them as like an incredible example for us as we continue to grow and expand.
Yeah, it's like any podcast you listen to, you're likely to hear like the brand name in the sponsorship list.
They found the right channel at the right time for their audience and their product category.
Did you ever try to use podcasting as a growth channel?
We haven't touched podcasts yet because it's a little bit further up in the funnel. We're still kind of really focused on mid-funnel to low funnel in terms of our marketing and sales. And once we start going a little bit further up, I think we'll look at podcasts and we'll look at different kind of media channels like that. We've done a few little experiments, but nothing major.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of how you got to where you are, right? You had to start somewhere, and you already mentioned some of the roles that you needed in the beginning because you did product development and it's very specific.
Yes.
Looking back in the beginnings right now, who are the people or the roles in your team that you couldn't have done without in the beginning?
Yeah, so like I said, our product is a little bit more R&D, science, and chemistry forward. And so early on, it was a biochemist, formulator, medical doctor, oral care dentist, and none of these people were full-time employees of our company, but they were really important team members throughout this process, and they still are as we evolve the product and introduce improvements and innovations in the product itself. So that kind of technical element, I think, was really key and still continues to be really key for us. If you're looking to innovate within a particular market, it's really important to have the right partners at the right time. And then after that, it's really finding the manufacturer. Finding the right manufacturing partner was really, really key for us because we needed someone with both flexibility and the ability to scale. They can't be too small, they can't be too big, they have to be just right. And so that took us a long time. We had to go through one or two different manufacturers until we found the right one. And then finally now, as we're scaling and growing the company and the brand, it's really about sales and marketing. It's really about like, how do you quickly test different hypotheses and either expand on them or discard ones that don't work. And I think having the right marketing partner that knows both Amazon and D2C, both Amazon and Shopify, is really hard. Usually people are siloed and groups are siloed, and having the right partner that knows both, I think has been really, really important for us. So those are kind of like the technical team, manufacturing, and now sales and marketing that have been really key for us.
Yeah, and it's much different when you are making a product, especially when it's so, let's say, technically innovative.
A little bit, yeah.
So I wanted to touch a little bit about some of the advice or like action steps you could share for other people who are basically starting to do, starting to work on their own business.
Sure.
So what would you say, is there like a strategy you consider essential for people who sell online? Mostly in terms of go-to-market strategies that you know of or encountered, what would be like the one that you consider essential?
Yeah, I mean, I think fundamentally it's you make a good product and you sell a good product. So I think it's there's so much noise out there in the online marketing and sales world, but I think the product side of that world often gets maybe forgotten a little bit. And so I think making sure that you're creating a unique product and that product really meets some need in the market is really key. But the irony of that is that oftentimes you don't really know until it's launched and until it's in the market and you're trying to sell it. So there's still always going to be a leap of faith, but if you can de-risk that product development and product market fit element beforehand as much as you can, the better. And I think a lot of that comes through like listening, seeing, research, and just a broad awareness of like, okay, this is where the world is going. How does my product fit within this world? And so, for instance, for us, we make a fluoride-free toothpaste, so it doesn't have fluoride in it. But 5 years ago, when we started our product development, that was kind of a controversial, much more controversial idea. Most toothpaste in the world had fluoride, and that was the ingredient that you needed to have. And now that's changing dramatically over the last 2, 3, 4 years. And so we kind of had to gamble on where we thought the world was going to make our product at that time, and thankfully it was the right bet. Those types of ideas are like, where is the world going and how does my product fit into that world, I think is really key. So launching in the market, a lot of it depends on the product and the timing of that product.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people just forget, like in the 4 P's of marketing, like the product gets forgotten most of the times, and people chase the money. And then in the end, they just don't get the money because they chased it so hard.
Right, and there are markets where real differentiation is necessary, like oral care for us. And so to be different in that market is a lot more important and valuable versus maybe markets that are just being developed, new ideas, new products. Maybe it's less important to be as differentiated, and getting to market fast is a competitive advantage compared to having a really different, unique product in the market. So I think it all depends on the category and the market, but for us, it was that product development differentiation that was key, and that will be key for us in the next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 100 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what would be the advice for, let's say, beginners in this business? If they start selling, what would you say? Should they start on Amazon, Shopify, combination of both? How to make the decision?
Wow, that's really tough. I think our road was like this crazy winding road. We started with Shopify a little bit early before Amazon, but we launched Amazon pretty quickly, within a few months. And I mentioned why, because of that kind of cycle of discovery, purchase, commitment, discovery on Amazon, purchase on Amazon, and then commitment on our website and our subscription platform on Shopify. Mm-hmm. So I think Shopify is really good for knowing your customers, for engaging with your customers, and for being able to sell and expand them in terms of what you sell them. So I think, for us, the right approach was both. And I think more and more so for these kinds of products and these kinds of categories, I think that will be the right approach for most companies eventually. Either, maybe start with one first and then the other, but eventually it'll be both, just because that's how customers shop right now, particularly in North America.
Right. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you. Once you start to approach that 7-figure threshold, once you cross that line, how does the team change, and in which ways does it change?
0 to 1 is its own battle, and then 1 to 10 is another set of skills and battles. So I think, we're in that second phase now, and I think it does change, particularly as you have to move a little bit further up funnel, right? I think that's the biggest challenge, is like, how do you reach customers who maybe are thinking about these kinds of products, but aren't literally searching for vitamin D in toothpaste or so. And I think so it's finding the right marketers and finding the right marketing partners that aren't going to waste your money and that are able to test quickly in kind of the higher funnel marketing initiatives, and then double down on what's working and what's not. And whether that's Meta or TikTok or podcasts or television or whatever, that ability to go from 1 to 10, I think is a much different ability than from 0 to 1 in terms of scale and in terms of growth.
Did you have to change, you have to change any of the team members, or, were they able to grow?
We basically expanded the team a little bit. So both internally and then with the agencies and the partners that we work with, finding the right partners who have experience taking a brand that has some traction, some growth, and expanding it. That's not the same as finding the right partners who are able to go from 0 to 1. So it was really internally the team had to grow and evolve, and then externally we had to find the right partners that were able to help us.
Perfect. I have one sort of last question for you.
Sure.
In terms of the lessons learned from failures, do you have any failures that you were willing to share, which gave you a nice lesson?
Yeah. I think I mentioned go to where the market is, go to where the customers are. Early on, when we started developing our product, not only were we changing the formula, but we were also changing packaging. So we were developing a whole packaging system. I think as a startup, as a new company, the biggest kind of failure or lesson that we learned was from taking on too much early on. And so that we were trying to differentiate on 2 or 3 different types of levels, and we just couldn't do it. Like that, it's too hard as a startup with a few people, even if you have funding or you don't have funding, whatever, to differentiate on multiple points. And so I think the biggest lesson that we learned early on is a level of focus and differentiation on one key element. And for us right now, that's literally the formula. That's what is in this toothpaste and how does it affect me as a consumer. We weren't as focused as we needed to be early on. That I think hurt us for the first 6 months to a year. But then once we really focused on to where we needed to be, that helped us tremendously in marketing, sales, manufacturing, shipping, the whole business.
I mean, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Often see people with so many brilliant ideas, and it's really hard to say no, and it really kills the focus. So
that's right. That's right. You want to fill it with all the good stuff, but the hard part is that will make it really complicated, both to manufacture and to sell. And most people don't think about both sides. Like if you fill it with a lot of good stuff, it'll be harder to make it and to sell it.
Thank you so much for sharing of your experience and all of the advice for all of us who live and breathe e-commerce. I think everybody would be very glad to see you succeed and grow further. And thank you so much for everything.
Thank you for having me.